Alexandre Bissonnette, he's a 27-year-old man who is accused of killing 6 inside a mosque right here in Quebec City. He appeared right in this Quebec courthouse today, and we're here with Rebel's newest contributor, Eric Dehem, to tell us what happened. What went down today in the courthouse?
Well, not much actually. The proof against him with the 6 murders has been tabled. His lawyers took it and is going to decide what they're doing with the proof. Are they going to say he's guilty, not guilty? We'll find out on March 30th. That's when he's going to reappear in front of the courthouse. But today it was very short, very brief, and not much actually in terms of what's going to happen next week. We still have no clue. The only news today is that there is, for now, no terrorist accusation. That's not been tabled. We're still only talking about murder and attempted murder.
Right, so 6 charges for first-degree murder, 5 charges for attempted murder, and we know the RCMP remain on the case, which is indicative that they are perhaps still pursuing terrorism charges, but again, no charges related to terrorism at the moment. Did we see a plea today?
No, there's been nothing on that front, and also the police has been very, very discreet up to now. The information that we got was from people around Alexandre Bissonnette or from different media, but nobody from the police or the RCMP or Quebec City's police spoke publicly about it and gave us more details. For now, it's all in the hands of the lawyers for now.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about what Bissonnette looked like today? Was he surrounded by family or friends?
No, there was no family or a few people that knew him maybe in the court. There was a lot of people actually. We're talking about 50 people attending, which is unusual here in Quebec City. They had to actually extend the room a little bit because there was not enough chairs. A lot of reporters, half of their crowd were people from the press. So a lot of interest by the media nationally and even internationally. A few representatives from the Muslim community, we have to say, including one imam who did how could I say it, just a scrum afterwards, and that's about it. That's the only thing that happened really today here.
Now, I want to pivot a little bit because in that imam scrum, we did talk a little bit about Islamophobia, and being here on the ground in Quebec, we do know this is something that is being brought up on talk radio, even in the local news. As a Quebecer yourself, what's the mood and where does this talk of Islamophobia stand in the wake of the Quebec mosque attack?
Well, there's a huge debate, obviously, because there's been accusations that are outrageous. You have to understand that one member of the National Assembly, we still didn't know how many people were dead, and he was already saying that it was Donald Trump's fault, that he had a part of responsibility. Amir Kadir said that from Quebec City. Afterwards, we had the radio stations here in Quebec City that were accused until we found out that he'd never listened to Quebec radio stations here. He's more of a CNN, actually, watcher than any kind of radio station in Quebec City. Afterwards, they've been accusing also the Conservatives in Ottawa. The member of Parliament in this region, Gérard Deltel, got accused by the Parliamentary Secretary of Foreign Affairs of having a part of responsibility into those attacks. That was completely over the top. And as you know, there's the debate with the motion in Ottawa that is also putting pressure here, because Islamophobia, yes, there could be Islamophobia, but there's other kind of hate speeches right now that have nothing to do with Islam and everything to do with Jews or with other religions. And unfortunately, it seems that the Liberals in Ottawa have decided to target only people who say different things against Islam, and they forget about the rest, including the imam in Montreal. We have to recall, last week the Jewish community was outraged in Montreal when he said that we should kill the Jews, that their kids need to become orphans and their wives widows. That's a hate speech. I've never ever heard anything like that in the media in Quebec saying the same thing about the Muslim community. And unfortunately, in Ottawa, they didn't listen to that, it seems, and they're only accusing they're one-sided, and that's the problem right now. If we want to have a true debate about hate speech, we need to talk about everything, and we also need to talk about the freedom of expression, because at the end of the day, that is really what they have in mind, and that is what is threatened right now in Quebec.
Absolutely, and yet there's absolutely no political banter about the fact that there is a call to kill Jews within mosques inside Canada right now.
In Montreal.
And in Toronto as well. M103, that's a motion we've been following for you very closely at the Rebel.media, that looks to essentially punish, we don't know what Islamophobia means because it's not exactly defined.
You have to be cautious, Faith. We don't know yet if it's truly Islamophobia. I spoke to some of his friends who told me he was playing chess. He had a friend who was actually a Muslim, an Ismaili actually. He played chess with a girl who wears the veil. It's not crystal clear that it's again Islam is this act of terror. We don't know all the details. As I said, the police didn't talk yet, and we already have the conclusion by political people who want to do some opportunistic statements to have score cheap political points and promote their multiculturalist agenda. That is what is scary out of this, and this is outrageous. You'd never see somebody on the right be so offensive and try to use the bodies of 6 people who died and who were shot to try to promote their ideology. I feel very bad when I see that today. And the other thing we need to underline as well is that Alexandre Bissonnette, we don't, everything we heard for now has come from different sources, unknown, and nothing is official, and we have no public information to say that it's truly an Islamophobic act. We'll have to wait and trust the police on that.
The media, the political class, they've gone off of 2 Facebook likes, one for Donald Trump, one for Marine Le Pen, and nothing else. And that's what they're using to essentially justify their motive. But you're telling me that you've spoken to, and your team has spoken to, individuals who were friends with Alexandre Bissonnette, who says that he's kibitzed, if you will, with Muslims. He's played chess with them. He's been friends with them. And so, maybe this is a troubled boy. We don't know about the motive yet. That is the whole point. All we know is that he's not yet been charged with terrorism, which would then absolutely imply that there was a political motive. Without those terrorism charges, I, for one, within my own profession of journalism, am not willing to bridge that gap. It sounds like you aren't either.
I don't want to accuse the Parti Québécois or the separatist movement today.
It's a Liberal Party as well as Canada.
And I just want to underline that Alexandre Bissonnette, yes, he liked Donald Trump's page, yes, he liked Marine Le Pen's page, but he also liked Agnès Mathilde, who's the only member of the National Assembly of the Parti Québécois in this region. He liked the Parti Québécois' webpage, he liked the Parti Québécois of his constituency's webpage, and he liked the Parti Québécois at Laval University's webpage. So, I mean, and I don't want to associate the Parti Québécois in any way, form, or shape with that murder. But I just want to say that we have to be very cautious at this point of time. The other thing that I want to underline is that an imam said today and last week, even at the funerals, he said the same thing, that Alexandre was the 7th victim of this shooting. I'm sorry, but I can't agree with that. He's not a victim. He's a criminal. He has to be responsible for what he did. Nobody told him to shoot people. Nobody gave him the gun and put it in his hand and say, go to the mosque and kill people. We have to be very cautious with that. And what I'm scared of is that we're going to say he's a victim, and actually the true guilty person is our society, because we're all Islamophobic. And that's what scares me, because we're trying to de-responsibilize the criminals. And it's going on right now, and that's the kind of speech that we're hearing right now in Quebec.
Absolutely, and it's happening not just in Quebec over here, but also at our federal legislature. We saw 2 different Liberal MPs come out and say that the mosque attack was a, quote, direct result of conservative politicians' dog whistle politics, as well as the media. We're also seeing now in Ontario, they've introduced their own motion that will be voted on Thursday. That's kind of like M103 at the provincial level. They do go through greater pains to describe Islamophobia, but in it they say that they're against anti-Muslim sentiments. I'm sorry, you asked me, that sounds like thought crimes. These are strange times, Eric. We're so lucky to have you with us. So he's going to be, Alexandre Bissonnette is going to be reappearing in court March 30th, correct?
That's the next day that he's going to appear. Right here.
Okay, and we can count on you for an update then.
I'll be there.
All right, fantastic. Thanks very much for tuning in. For the Rebel Media, I'm Faith Goldie, and this is Eric DeHaye.